You're listening to the Marketing Funnel Show, episode number 22. And today we are talking about one of my favorite things, quizzes, and how they can really help your marketing funnel. Welcome to the Marketing Funnel Show. I'm your host, Michelle Evans, and this is the podcast for coaches, experts, and online business owners to learn how to go from simply surviving to sold out using the power of marketing funnels. All right, let's jump into today's show. Well, hello there. It's Michelle here, and I have got to admit to you, I have a major bias towards quizzes. I love them, and yes, I am a sucker that'll take a quiz to find out which Harry Potter character I am, my ideal brand archetype, which vacation spot I should go to, whatever. This is something that is so enticing and irresistible. There's just something that grabs me about a quiz. And you know what? I am not alone. There is some major psychology behind quizzes, and when you use a quiz right, it can be an absolutely powerful way to attract and engage your audience. And I have to ask you a question. When you were a kid, did you ever get any of those teen or even preteen magazines that had quizzes in them? I don't know, like Teen Magazine, Teen Beat Magazine, 17 Magazine. I mean, I know my friends and I did. And one thing that was always a big hit in those magazines for us were the quizzes. And, you know, they would have, I don't even remember. I mean, it's been a long time, but I do remember that we'd get our magazines and we'd flip to the quizzes and we'd try to find out, you know, where we scored that month. And it'd be something silly like, you know, what kind of friend are you? What breed of dog are you? What kind of movie character are you? You know, whatever. It probably always tied in with some major advertiser in the magazine for that month, or, you know, some new album that was coming out or some new movie that was coming out or whatever. But every month we'd get our magazine, we'd go to the quiz, and then we'd compare our results, and we'd giggle while either feeling kind of superior or like something was just wrong with that quiz, right? Depending on what our quiz outcome was. I mean, did you ever do that with your friends or have fun with that? Well, if so, then you know that quizzes are nothing new. Newspapers and magazines have been featuring them for decades as a way to hook their readers into their content. And these early forms of psychologically driven quizzes have inspired marketers to modernize that concept. That, you know, Reader's Digest and even like the old TV guide magazines. I mean, like my grandparents and everybody, they used to get these and do the little quizzes too. And they, lately we've been using those old kind of tried and true concepts, and we've modernized them to bring them into a digital form with really simple quizzes that you see all the time online, right? You've probably, you know, if you go into Facebook or really online anywhere, you've probably run across a bunch of quizzes. And quizzes, they can really seem so basic. Some of them are even really silly. But they are one of the go-to tools of online business owners who really want to attract a larger audience, who want to capture new leads, and who want to nurture those leads and have really personalized sales conversations with them. So let's talk about some specific psychological reasons why quizzes are so appealing. And I think it's super important that anyone who wants to build a funnel understand this appeal of quizzes, because it's going to help you connect with your audience at a much deeper level. So let's talk about something that sounds kind of big and scary, but we're going to break it down. So it's called the theory of narrative psychology, because it's super important for you to understand in your marketing, and not just for quizzes, for all of your marketing, but it definitely is really important to understand when you create a quiz for your funnel. So again, the theory of narrative psychology sounds a bit complicated. So let's break it down because it's actually pretty simple once you understand it. The theory goes like this. As human beings, we are constantly walking around trying to make sense of our lives by organizing the events that happen to us on a day-to-day basis, things that have happened in the past, how we think, how we see ourselves in the world. So we try to organize all of that into stories that fit together over time. Basically, we're creating our own biography. We're writing the story of our life. We're creating the movie of our life. I have a good friend who, she's always saying, this actress is going to play me in the movie of my life, or that actor is going to play my brother or my dad or my husband or whatever, right? And if you think about the movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, which I just, I love that movie. It is so funny. But that's a good example of the theory of narrative psychology. It's like, it's somebody who saw herself one way and had a story about herself one way and then decided to make her life different. And she kind of wrote a new story about herself, right? And then she told the story from a future self of the transformation she went through. So that's a good example. If you haven't seen the movie, it's so funny. I love that movie. But that's what we're all doing all the time, is we're trying to figure out, how do we fit in this world? What's the story of us in this world? Do we like this story right now? Do we want to write a new story? What else can we understand about ourselves? Where do we fit in? How do we add more value, right? We're always trying to figure this out. And really, a quiz is kind of a fun and hooky little way to give us more little nuggets that we can put into the story of our lives as we're trying to write these new chapters every single day. And that's why they're so hooky, so irresistible, so fun, even when they seem silly. That's why they're fun. Is because it helps us just either confirm something about ourselves or discover something new. And even the silly ones. So if you go on BuzzFeed, you're going to find all sorts of silly ones, like, what color are you, or whatever. Or what kind of dog are you, or what kind of cat are you, or whatever. But then there's other ones that are even deeper, and they really help us understand ourselves. But anytime we're taking any of these kinds of quizzes, and this is really important for you to understand if you're going to create a quiz for your own business. Anytime somebody takes a quiz, they're trying to answer 3 really important questions. And they may not even know that they're trying to answer this. As you take quizzes, you may not even know. But the questions that we're trying to answer kind of underneath it all are these. So question number 1 is, who am I? Who am I in relation to this question that this quiz is posing, right? Question number 2 is, who do others think I am? And question number 3 is, who do I want to be? And the results of the quiz may sort of delight us and confirm sort of our best suspicions about ourselves. They may kind of shock us and be like, oh my gosh, I never knew that about myself. We may share them with others and people go, wow, that's amazing, or that's exactly who I thought you were, or whatever. But that driving urge to really answer those 3 questions is the curiosity and the drive to create a story that really makes sense and helps us fit that story into what we want to create for ourselves. That, again, is what makes quizzes so powerful. And if you create a quiz that's fun, that people want to share, that confirms the best things that people think about themselves, it is a fantastic way to start your marketing funnel, because they're going to want to go deeper into what you've got for them because it's helping them write more chapters in their story. It's helping them discover more about themselves. They're saying, yes, please give me more. Help me understand more about this. Help me go deeper into this. Help me learn more about me and what this means to me. So that's part of the reason why quizzes are so key. And like, I wouldn't say just, throw together any old quiz and say like, here's your ideal cheese type, unless you're selling cheese, I guess. But try to come up with one that is really key for your business and that's going to make people lean forward and say, yes, tell me more. Tell me more about what you're confirming about the best in me. Help me write more of this chapter. Help me discover more about this. Help me understand how I can bring more of the best in me forth with what you have to teach me. So here's how to get started with your irresistible quiz funnel. So step number 1 is to create your quiz. I personally use lead quizzes, which I'll link to in today's show notes. There's also some other great quiz platforms out there if you don't want to use lead quizzes, which I'll link to as well. I have a couple others that I'll link to. And then step 2 is to create an automated email sequence for each quiz outcome. So the first thing you want to do when you start thinking about your quiz is, what are the outcomes that I want to create? So what are the buckets that people will land in once they take this quiz? And once somebody lands in a bucket, they're going to have a different email sequence than somebody who's in a different bucket. Otherwise, if they all have the same email sequence, then it's not really worth taking a quiz. So you want to have slightly different email sequences depending on which bucket they land into. And you want to have at least the first few emails be really personalized to the audience so that they really stay engaged with what you have in your funnel, because they're going to want to really continue discovering more about what you have for them. Step number 3 is to figure out what your end goal is. So are you trying to, with your quiz and with your marketing funnel, are you trying to get people into a call with you? Are you trying to get them to a webinar with you? Are you trying to get them to a sales page? Are you trying to get them to a program? Like, what are you trying to get them to? So figure out what your end goal is and have your funnel lead there. So it's really a pretty simple process, is really just map out where you want them to go. So if you want to see a couple examples of my own quizzes for inspiration, I'll link to those today. I've got 2 quizzes that I'll link to. So the first one is a marketing personality style quiz. So you can see what your own personality says about your marketing style. It's really a fun quiz that I created that a couple thousand people have already taken. And it's really insightful. It really helps you see how your personality can really influence your marketing. And so I'll link to that in today's show notes. But you can also take that quiz at michellelevans.com/marketing-type. Quiz number 2 is the marketing funnel quiz. So if you want to know which marketing funnel is right for you and your business, I have created a quiz that will take you less than 5 minutes to figure out which marketing funnel is perfect for you. So you can take that quiz at today's show notes, which would be at themarketingfunnelshow.com/22. And you can see what that quiz looks like too. So I have one quiz that's more of a personality style quiz and one quiz that's more of a business related quiz. So I have a couple different styles for you to take a look at. So with that, I am super excited for you to dive in and, create a quiz, see how it goes for you, really help people in your audience discover more about themselves and really use the theory of narrative psychology to kind of write that next chapter about who they are as it relates to the work that you do. And I'd love to hear your questions about quizzes too. So if you have questions as you start diving into creating your quiz, email them over to me, michelle@michellelevans.com. I'd love to hear from you and or see the quiz that you come up with. It's really, really fun. I mean, of course, I love quizzes, so I'd love to see what you come up with. All right, so I look forward to seeing you next week as we dive into another interview with another one of my students from Build Your Funnel Bootcamp. and we talk about how he used a quiz to build out his funnel. I will see you then. Talk soon. Bye.